Hey guys, how's it going? Alex Scott here with Concertini.com. Thank you so much for checking out another one of our super cool studio gear reviews. Today we are taking a look at another plugin from the awesome guys at Tritec. This is eChorus. As you might assume, it is kind of an all-in-one solution for general chorus effects. Very, very cool. Now, before I get into it, I do want to say a big thank you to the guys at Tritec for providing me a license to this plugin, as well as a bunch of their other plugins. I think all the plugins that they offer, actually. They got in touch with us and said, hey, we've seen some of your other plugin reviews. We would love for you guys to take a look at some of ours. I said, yes, absolutely, I'd love to. And they hooked me up with licenses to all of their premium plugins. So thank you very, very much to the guys at Tritec. I've really enjoyed taking a look at these plugins. And in this video, we're going to take a look at eChorus, go over all of the features, and listen to how it sounds on a piano track from a cool little lo-fi hip-hop tune that I've got going on here. So again, eChorus, as it says in the name, and as you can tell by looking at it, it is just a really basic all-in-one solution for chorus effects. Now, we have 4 different modes here. We have retro, multi, detune, and random. And I don't know if these are particularly trying to emulate particular other chorus units that have been on the market. You know, if retro is supposed to be some particular chorus effect or anything like that, but they do all have different kind of tonal characteristics to them, and I'm sure different ways that the algorithm is going about creating the actual chorusing effect. Now we have rate, depth, and width controls. Very, very simple. We do have a built-in echo or kind of delay function here with 2 very simple controls. We have a feedback control and a DLY, delay of time. Basically, this controls the time of the delay. We have a basic low pass and high pass filter, which sound very, very gentle to me, maybe like a 12 dB per octave, or maybe even a 6 dB per octave. Very, very gentle filters, not resonant or peaky or anything like that. There's a very gentle high or low roll-off, which is kind of a nice feature to have built in for a little bit of extra tonal sculpting. And then, of course, we have a wet and dry mix control. We then also here, even though it's not labeled, we do have an output gain, which is very, very handy. But, you know, overall, it's a very, very simple plugin. You know, there's not a ton of options in terms of being able to go in and really control these different chorusing algorithms. You pretty much pick your note mode, tell it what you want it to do, you know, in terms of, again, rate, depth, stereo width, or width of your overall image. And then if you want to add a little bit of this delay, you can. Got a very basic, you know, high and low pass filter here, and that's really all there is to it. So right off the bat, before we get into listening to it, which I will go through and we'll kind of listen to some different sounds, I do want to say that this was kind of my first impression looking at this plugin and just playing with it for a few minutes. I think it sounds really, really nice, but it is €49 for the license for this plugin, and I feel like that might be a little bit expensive for how limited the plugin is. Again, not to say it doesn't sound great, as you guys will hear in just a second. It does sound really nice, and you can get a wide variety of sounds with it, but for a full-on premium plugin, I might expect to see just a few more features in here. You know, if you are going to include an echo section, maybe making it a little bit more full-featured, stuff like that. But regardless, it's kind of a minor gripe. You know, it does sound really, really good. So let's go ahead and take a listen to exactly how good it does sound. Like I said, I've got a cool little kind of jazzy piano loop that I wrote for this lo-fi hip-hop tune for one of the episodes of my travel documentary series here on YouTube on a separate channel called Nomadic Bard. Put a link to that in the description down below. But here is the piano sample on its own. Very, very simple. And now let's bring in our eChorus. Now I'm going to start with everything basically at noon. So rate at noon, depth at noon, width at noon. We're going to turn off our echo for now because we'll get to that in a little bit. And then mix right at 50%, no filtering. So again, this is retro. All the controls are pretty much straight at noon. So you can hear really nice general chorus sound. Let's go to multi-mode. Pretty similar, I'd say a little thicker. Here's detune mode. So you can hear that's focusing more on the kind of pitch variation aspect of a chorus sound. And then let's hear random. A little bit more aggressive. And, it kind of sounds to me like, especially with the random one, instead of a traditional chorus where you might have, for lack of a better term, like an LFO that's oscillating that time to give you that chorus effect, the oscillating the offset. Random is much more of a randomized kind of push and pull, so you get more of an aggressive effect, whereas retro, multi are kind of more traditional chorus sounds, and then detune seems to be focusing more on the pitch as opposed to the timing, which is, obviously the kind of a couple different ways you can go about getting a chorus effect, but that's kind of what it sounds like to my ear that they're doing. So going back to retro, which is kind of my personal favorite one, I think it's kind of the smoothest sounding of them all. Let's go ahead and just play around with these rate and depth controls. Now with the rate, you can go pretty extreme and get almost that kind of ring modi sound, and you can be very, very gentle with it as well. I tend to like it right around 30-40%, somewhere in here, up to 50% for more of an obvious effect. We then, of course, can pull the depth way out. Or you can pull the depth way back for, again, much subtler effects. Now, the width control is very, very nice. We can really push out the stereo image. Now, that's a really great trick to do with really any chorus plugin, but because of the nice simple controls that we have here, it's very easy to do it in this one. We can use it strictly as a stereo widening effect, so maybe using the multi-mode, pushing our width all the way out, and then pulling our rate and our depth further back. Here it is without and with. You can hear it has this really nice subtle effect of pushing the piano sound more to the outside of your stereo image. So kind of a handy thing there. Now, another nice feature about this is that as you kind of swap through these different modes, it'll actually remember your settings as you move through each one. So like if I set retro to be very, very aggressive, and then I set multi to be very, very not aggressive, and I switch between the two, you'll see it actually saves the settings per each of those modes, which I think is an interesting choice. It's helpful in some aspects, not so much in others. If I wanted to really A/B these different modes, I would kind of prefer that it would allow me to keep consistent settings, over here in the controls, and then swap between different modes so I can hear how each one functions. Instead, they kind of have them set up like 4 different little self-contained settings so that you can get a retro setting that you like a lot, and then maybe switch over to multi, get an alternate setting there, and then A/B them. We do also have an A and B kind of swapping option up here, so you can set up an A and a B and kind of do it that way, which is a very nice facility. But it's really just a different way of going about how you would move between modes in a plugin. So kind of interesting there. Now, just 2 more features to talk about real quick here. Of course, we do have this echo. So what I'll go ahead and do is we're just going to turn off our chorus for now in general. We'll still keep it on the retro mode, but I'll keep this rate and depth very, very low. And let's go ahead and play around with this echo for a moment. So, a couple things. I'm not seeing any way to really sync. There's no real option seemingly to sync this echo with your time, your global BPM, your global tempo, which I think is a bit of a shortfalling. A lot of times if we're using a delay effect, we want it to be synchronized with the time of our session. And this one, I think, is mostly just a free time kind of an effect, which, it's still useful to have it in here for that little bit of added effect, but I might want to see something where we have the option to synchronize it. Now, another thing that I notice is that even if we push the feedback all the way out, it's definitely pretty aggressive. But it doesn't go, it's not like a tape echo or something where it's going to go all the way into self-oscillation and where you can really kind of get some crazier echo sounds out of it. It's pretty much just going to keep repeating things. One thing, or one area rather, where I think this echo actually really shines, though, is that you can get pretty aggressive time with it. So if you pull it over here, kind of under 50%, you get even beyond slapback. And you can get into some very interesting flanging sounds. You can hear there, you've almost got this interesting kind of LFO effect going on. So you can use it to get some more wild delay-based sounds, which if that's something you're after, very, very useful feature. And then, using that in conjunction with the chorus, you could definitely get some pretty aggressive and intense stuff going on. If we really crank everything to max here. Get very alien very, very quickly. So that's kind of fun. So, it is nice that it can really do from pretty subtle effects all the way out to pretty wacky effects. I definitely like that. But again, like I said at the beginning, it's kind of a tough sell for me at €49, which is, going to be right around somewhere between 50 and 60 USD for just the single plugin, having pretty limited kind of options in here in terms of what you're able to do. Thinking about like the Crush Pro, which is another plugin that we've checked out from Tritech. There's an amazing plugin. You've got all kinds of really crazy modulation matrices and modulation sources that you can use to do wave folding and lots of different distortion, bit crushing type stuff. It's an incredibly in-depth and feature-rich plugin. This one, while it does sound really nice, and you can get a good variety of different tones out of it, again, from pretty gentle chorusing all the way out to wild, I might like to see maybe some more modulation features, maybe a little bit more variability in this echo, maybe a little bit more control over the chorus, maybe being able to go in between these algorithms could be kind of cool. Maybe having some additional parameters in terms of how it's doing the stereo width. So now we haven't really listened to this filter yet, but the filter really, honestly, you can really hear what it's doing when you go all the way into wet mode. There's your high pass filter. And you can definitely, scrub out frequencies with it. You can go all the way up. Or, alternatively, low passing. It's a filter, and when you really do extreme stuff with it, it'll definitely scrub those frequencies out. So, if we leave that mix control right in the middle, the filter really doesn't do as much as, it doesn't really sound like it's doing a whole lot. And I understand that's because you have a dry, wet mix, but I would find it maybe a little bit more useful if that filter came after the mix, or at least if we had the option to switch so that I could use it a little bit more creatively. Where I could use it either as a more drastic tone sculpting tool, where you put it after the mix so you can get a good mix with your chorus going on, but then you could use the filter to really chop off the top or chop off the bottom. Because it is 100% pre-mix, but it's just this general kind of high-pass, low-pass filter, not quite as useful in my opinion. Also, the fact that there's no resonant peak or controllable resonant peak on it makes it a little bit tricky, just because it's then just a very generic sounding kind of high roll-off or low roll-off filter. Sometimes I like to have the option at least to bring in a bit of a resonant peak. That can help give the filter a little bit more character and give our sound a little bit more character. So I think it's a nice idea that it's included, but I don't see it as being incredibly useful because it's so limited. I think that the same thing kind of applies to this echo. It sounds nice, and it's a cool feature to have in there. And you can, if you're looking for some of those jet flangery kind of sounds that you get with a really, really fast delay, you can use it for that, and that's cool. It allows you to modulate and do a little bit more crazy stuff with the chorus. But I would love to see tempo sync. I would love to maybe see the ability to take this filter and assign it so that you can get kind of that filtered delay, kind of tape delay kind of vibe going on. I see a lot of great ideas implemented here, and it sounds really nice. I like the chorusing algorithms. I like the fact that you can push it and be really gentle or really wild with it. Very, very cool. But I see some opportunities, having looked at Crush Pro again from Tritech and seeing how crazily in depth that plugin goes. I feel like that there's an opportunity to do some more things here. You do, of course, have some decent little presets here from a couple of designer quote unquote presets from producers, and then more factory presets. So that's very, very cool. But it's, again, at that price point, a $50 or $60 US plugin, I would just maybe want to see just a little bit more in the way of features here. Not that I think this should be free or something. I understand it. It probably took quite a bit of time to make this, and these different algorithms do sound really, really nice. I like them a lot. I just, paying that much money, I feel like maybe we could pack a little bit more in here, or if it's like this, I would expect to pay maybe more in the €20 or $20 kind of a range. So if it sounds like something you guys are interested in, I would say definitely check it out. But what do you guys think? What's your favorite chorus plugin that you like to use in your productions? Is it just, a stock one that came with your DAW? Do you have particular really full-featured chorus plugins that you guys really, really like? Whatever the answer may be, definitely leave it in the comments down below. Love hearing from you. If you have not yet subscribed to Concertini, please do so. Click that button and be sure to tap the notification bell as well to be kept up to date with our new videos. If you want to give it a like or a share, that would be great. And before I close out, I just want to say again, thank you so much to the guys at Tritech for sending over the license to this and indeed all the rest of their plugins. Having a great time taking a look at them. They're very, very cool. I love some of the stuff they're doing. But regardless, my name is Alex Scott with Concertini.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks again to the guys at Tritech, and we will see you in the next video.